Okay. And then she had another question for me here. I have another question. And this one, she puts a little smiley face. So to make sure that I know she's not being mean. Okay. So she says, when Jesus flipped the tables, when he called people a brood of vipers, did he pass the litmus test? Did he pass the litmus test? Okay, so she's responding to the same video. And so in this video, I also talked about, so I'm talking about the fruit of the Spirit, the list of the fruit of the Spirit. And then right before that in Galatians, there is a list of behaviors that are the opposite of the fruit of the Spirit. And so I was talking about how you can plug people in to, you can examine people's behavior by using these lists. And then that will be a litmus test to determine their character by using those lists. Okay, so that's what she's responding to. So she's asking about when Jesus flipped the tables, when he drove the merchants out of the temple in Jerusalem. And so I just kind of have to laugh because it's crazy how often these heretic hunter groupies, when they come here, they talk about Jesus flipping tables. They love the story of Jesus flipping the tables. And the reason why they love it so much is because they think that action, that act of Jesus justifies their own hateful, abusive behavior against other Christians. So in fact, they love it so much that I made this little graphic, this little timeline. This is the troll timeline of Jesus's life. So you can see they know about his birth, they know about the nativity, they like Christmas, they know about the crucifixion, of course, but then everything in between is just Jesus flipping tables. They don't seem to know about anything else about the life of Jesus. Now, of course, I'm kind of kidding, but I really wonder because they bring it up all the time. And so here's my response to Carol 503 when she asked me about Jesus flipping tables. Because the first thing I said is, I know that the heretic hunter people love the story of Jesus flipping tables, but do you realize he only did that 2 times? Now, a lot of people don't even realize that. They think he just did it once. But every time, the 2 times Jesus went to Jerusalem, the first thing he did was he would go to the temple and he would cleanse the temple. So he actually did that 2 times. So 2 times in the 30 years that he was on earth, the 3 years of his ministry, he did that 2 times. And the whole rest of the time, he was a suffering servant. He was a humble servant. He was healing people. He was ministering to people in love. He was teaching and demonstrating unconditional love. And then the last time that he flipped the tables, less than a week later, he let those same people participate in killing him. So those same people that he drove out of the temple, he let them kill him. So that turns the whole story around. So you cannot use Jesus flipping tables 2 times to justify bad behavior, hateful, abusive behavior, and attacks against fellow brothers and sisters. It just doesn't work. And another point I want to make about that is because I think that a lot of them don't really understand the reason why Jesus drove the merchants out of the temple. So it wasn't just because they were cheating. So a lot of the heretic hunters like to say that they like to accuse the modern day prophets of fleecing the flock and cheating people. So that was not the reason that Jesus drove them out. The reason that he needed to cleanse the merchants out of the temple was because they were keeping people from coming to God. So before Jesus came, before he died and then rose again, the only way that the Jewish people, the only way that people could come to God was through the system of making sacrifices. So it was the Mosaic system that God had set up for the Jewish people to follow. And so they came to Jerusalem, to the temple, several times a year, different times of year, to make these sacrifices. That was their connection to God. And so these merchants being in there and cheating and keeping people from making their sacrifices by charging exorbitant prices, they were actually keeping people from God. And so it was a very, very serious thing they were doing. And that is why Jesus cleansed them out of the temple, his Father's house. So then she says this about calling people a brood of vipers. And so I have to laugh about that one again. Fortunately, the heretic hunter troll people, their groupies, don't bring this one up as much. Maybe they have some kind of deep self-awareness, I hope, because Jesus was talking to the Pharisees the people that he accused of being a brood of vipers. These were the legalistic religious leaders who were led by these religious spirits who were hateful and abusive to the children of God and to the body of Christ, to Christ. And so it is. So for somebody who is a legalistic person, who is led by religious spirits, who is attacking, hateful, and abusive to the body of Christ, it's not a very good thing to bring up the brood of vipers. It's very self-incriminating. So that was my response to Carol 503.